You might not even know about the ship between Hawkgirl and Green Lantern Jon Stewart, let alone that in one reality, that ship produced a child. That's right, they have a child together. Warhawk is the future son of Green Lantern Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl from the dceu, the DC animated universe. He first appeared in the animated series Batman Beyond and was created by Paul Dini and Alan Burnett. Warhawk's real name is Rex Stewart, and he was named after one of Jon's friends from the military, Rex Mason, who would of course later become the Element Man Metamorpho. Warhawk gets super strength from his mom, and he has an extremely strong set of armor complete with wings, as those he was not born with. When it comes to Jubilee, most people tend to think of her more as a kid sidekick than anything else, and yet since she was first introduced, at least in the comics, and even in the animated series, I would say to a lesser extent though, she has done quite a bit of growing up. Jubilee has seen and done a lot of things. She was for a time in the comics a vampire, and she also even adopted a baby of her own. The baby in question was one she was helping to protect after learning that the child had been infected by the alien bacteria known as Archaea, who was using the young one as a host. Archaea was basically like a kind of a sentient bacteria, if you will. Jubilee fought to defend the child, and after succeeding and being warned further about Archaea by Archaea's brother Sublime, Sublime also shared that he felt he saw the child now as Jubilee's son. Jubilee searched to see if the infant had any surviving relatives, but after finding none, she ultimately decided to stick with the little one and formally adopt baby Shogo, who of course became Shogo Lee officially. And officially, Jubilee herself became Mama Jubilee. While in the comic book community, many folks know about this one, there are still a lot of general Superman fans in the world who aren't as well versed in modern comics and who probably don't know that Clark Kent's Superman is actually a dad. Case in point, my dad is a huge Superman fan, and I bet if I told him this fact, he would be like, wait, what? When did that happen? Jonathan Kent is the natural born son of Lois Lane and Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, aka Superman. He was born during the events that caused a reset of the universe when the New 52 came about. He and his family were relocated to the New 52 Prime Earth, even though they were originally from the New Earth continuity, meaning that for a while we actually had two Supermans on planet Earth, and now we do again. Although one of course was operating in secret, that one being Jon's dad. And currently, like I said, we also have two Supermans on planet Earth, with Jon now being actually one of them. Jon would become good friends with another super son, Damian Wayne, Batman's son. Damian and Jon initially did not get along, but would eventually find common ground and actually become kind of the best of friends. Of course, then Jon went to space and grew up rapidly, returning to Earth and taking up the mantle of Superman himself, kind of leaving his bond with Damian behind a little bit because now he's a lot older and Damian hasn't really grown up, but I digress. Jon's powers are at a very similar scope and level to his dad's, but as a human Kryptonian hybrid, he apparently does have the potential to become even more powerful than Clark. You might think it would go the other way, but nah. Not a lot of people think of Black Canary when they think of someone who is a mom from DC Comics. Well, unless I guess maybe you're thinking of classic Black Canary, who was in fact Black Canary's mom, because Black Canary's kind of like a legacy hero thing. But we're not talking about Dinah Drake, we're talking about Dinah Laurel Lance. There was a time when she too was a mother. In the previous New Earth continuity, Black Canary adopted both Speedies, the sidekicks to her longtime lover Green Arrow, Roy Harper and Mia Dearden. But she also had another daughter as well, also adopted, who is named and known as Sin. I feel like not a lot of people talk about Sin, which is why we're going to talk about her. Sin was in training to become the new Lady Shiva, and while Dinah had swapped places with Shiva for a year, that's a thing that happened, Black Canary came to bond with the young girl. When she decided to leave the village where she'd been based for a while, where she'd met Sin, and leave her trainer there, Mother, Dinah decided to take Sin with her. Now, Mother tried to stop Black Canary, but ultimately could not beat her, and so Sin became Cynthia Lance, the adopted daughter of Dinah. Weirdly, the entire Avengers team are also kind of like a group of co-parents when it comes to their relationship with their recent team member Starbrand. Brandy Selby became the adopted goddaughter of Thor in issue number 32 of the 2018 Avengers series. He promised to take care of her after the Avengers, as he saw it, basically had failed her mother, who died in childbirth. Thor especially felt bad as he had succumbed to being possessed by the Brood at that time, and so he really wasn't much help to the team when they came across the previous Starbrand, Suzanne, Brandy's mother, who had basically gone into labor. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl. but she did not survive the delivery. She passed on her star brand to her unnamed baby, who was of course later named Brandy by the Avengers. The Avengers themselves took Brandy in and did their best to raise her kind of as a group. Unfortunately, while Brandy has one of the greatest cosmic powers in this universe, bearing the mark of the star brand, she has also experienced complications when using them, becoming aged every time she did so. In the end, she chose to use her powers one more time, sacrificing herself to save the multiverse in an effort to help the rest of her Avengers family and team. So Avengers aren't a parent group right now, but they were for a minute there. For a minute, till Brandy aged out. Speaking of Thor's role as a godfather, many people might be surprised to learn that he's also been a father multiple times over in the multiverse. One of his more well-known children is Magni. Magni hails from the alternate future reality of Earth 3515, which was erased from existence at the behest of Magni himself in essence. Although he loved his son, the future Allfather Thor, who had Magni with his queen Amora, the Enchantress, ended up traveling back in time to warn his past self about everything that would come to pass should he rule over Midgard, which was what led him down this darker path in the first place, creating this alternate reality and along with it of course his son Magni. Thor of the present listened to the warning of his future self and heeded it, preventing this version of Magni from ever really fully existing. When he did exist though, Magni was considered to be similar to Thor in his abilities, but he was also believed to be even stronger physically than Thor had been, being known as the God of Strength. Magni was also capable of wielding Mjolnir in his lifetime. Honestly, I really like Magni, and I do wish, I know Love and Thunder is the thing that happened, and I get why Chris Hemsworth wanted his daughter to be in there, and then, you know, he like adopts her, and that whole thing with Gore, but also, why couldn't we have gotten something like Magni? Because that's quite an interesting story, I gotta say. I mean, I don't know about the whole erase all of it, but maybe there's parts of that you could have adapted and then just let it be like baked into the main continuity and stay that way. There's so many great Thor kid stories, family stories, that I feel like we just probably will never see it in the MCU. Dream is not a character we think of when we think of superhero kids and their superpowered parents. Well, because Dream is of the Endless, so does Dream even have parents? But guess what? He is the child of a pair of superheroes. Yeah, he does have parents. And if you're wondering how Dream of the Endless is considered as such and who his parents are, allow me to explain. Daniel is the son of Lita and Hector. In the Sandman comics and in the DC universe, Hippolyta was the hero known as Fury, who was considered in a previous continuity to actually be the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, who Diana had after she settled down and somewhat retired in that continuity. Hector Hall himself was also a legacy hero, the son of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Hector was known by a few different names before his death, chiefly the Silver Scarab and of course the Sandman. He would later return and become known as Dr. Fate as well. Daniel therefore is descended from two heroes, because he was conceived in the dreaming. Lord Morpheus, the previous dream, claimed baby Daniel, promising to one day return for him. This day came when it was time for Morpheus to die and for a new dream to take his place. So yeah, to be clear, we're not talking about Morpheus' dream here, we're talking about Daniel Dream, but that's who Dream is right now in the continuity, so just to clarify that. Enter Daniel, who became, like I said, the new Dream, and one of the most powerful beings probably in all of existence. Because endless. That's about it. I've been your host Amanda McKnight. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.